Sorry about that.
Thank you for being here. Obviously, did you manage to do your other meeting as well?
I did very successfully, successful in 15 minutes, and I went back to enjoy Kara's presentation. That was really good. So I enjoy it, and I was able to do both. Call it multitasking. I'm not good at that, but I did it today.
What did you think of her presentation?
I think it was, I call it nourishment for the soul. I think I felt that it was the perfect presentation to begin this. It is both things that we do. It's the family experience, the emotions that she was so good sharing and being vulnerable and sharing how she felt, but at the same time, her efforts and advocacy. So that is what we do. It's the passion and really what we do.
Yeah.
I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes before I introduce the two of you, but you're messing up your hair.
Yes, it was nice. It's just my glasses. I'm not used to them. They are pharmacy glasses.
They make you look very sophisticated.
Yeah, thank you so much. Look at that. and they help with screen, with the blue light from screens. So they are from the pharmacy, but they do the work.
You are so smart when it comes to this technology. Every time I talk to you, I learn something else.
I'm getting old, so I'm going on that aisle now in the pharmacy.
I know. Yes. And Pam, how is life with you? Pretty chaotic, I know. How's the move going?
I have a day off at a conference. How's that?
Yes, excellent.
Yes. And I started very early this morning, and I have a but I'm having fun, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've been to a couple of conferences recently, and for one of them, I very intentionally told my colleagues, I'm going to be at this conference. I'm taking the day off, but I don't know if others, if you've had that experience now where, you're in theory, you're at a conference, but actually you're still taking care of your email and still doing all your work and multitasking in so many different, no wonder we're tired at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Angela, that's why you can shut your video so you can do that. Nobody knows you're working.
I know, but sometimes I just want to be at a conference.
Yes.
And I mean, I think this is great. Actually, I was kind of concerned about how we would network with one another and even, how we would capture the passion of what we've done over the last couple of years. And I don't know about you guys, but I was really emotional this morning. Actually both listening to Johnny talking about, sort of what we've been doing over the last few years and then thinking about people who have just joined us for the first time and, that sense of, we've come such a long way from that, 5 or 6 family leaders that we had in Orlando at the time. And now look at us, we've 200 strong and lots of champions. And, all right, so it's actually 5 after, and I'm going to stop talking because I really want you two to talk. And for those of you who have joined us for lunch, I know Doris Tellado Gonzalez and Pam Kissoondyal. I've known them for a long time now. Actually, I've known them since 2016, since I found them for that first meeting. And it was such a blessing. I can still remember Pam sitting down in the atrium at UF, having coffee with you. And Doris, I think I met you even before that, because I know you were on our community advisory board a long time ago. And I was thinking about, just wanting us to have a conversation about what has been happening over the last few months, both, in our personal lives and then professionally. And I know that we have, we see opportunities and challenges, but I just thought you two would be the perfect two people to have a conversation between one another, because I know you know one another really well, and so yeah, I wanted to sort of Zoom bomb your conversation, I guess, legitimately.
Just before she speaks, can I ask a quick question? Because I thought Danita just stated something about lunch, and I have to warm up stuff. Do I need to? Can I? I'm
So
not really sure. Are we able to go to lunch, or we have to?
So the whole idea is that you can run and heat up something if you want to, and this is meant to be kind of the lunch session, and so it's kind of casual. If you can go and heat up your food and come back and listen into the conversation. But this is just two friends chatting to one another, but feel free, Tricia, to go and grab your food and either come back or turn off your camera and take a break for a few minutes and maybe just listen in, if whatever you want to do, and for the next little while. And then at 1:45, Paula Burns is going to come on. Paula is a Zumba instructor, and she's going to get us very gently ready for the afternoon. So no pressure to get into your gym clothes, but she's going to set us up for the afternoon. And I'm going to keep an eye on the chat, and Pam and Doris, you guys can too. And if there's any questions, I'll either field them, or if you see them yourselves and you want to address them, go for it. So I'm going to be quiet.
Thank you, Angela. And Zoom bombing Doris's and my chats could be very dangerous. But we're glad that you're joining us during this lunch hour. It's a thrill and exciting opportunity to be here. I mean, for the 4th year, actively participating. Thank you guys for all you do, and we're very happy to be here. So, Doris?
Yes, well, I'm like Pam said, I'm Doris Tellado. I work as a family resource specialist for Early Steps. I'm a mother of Gabriel and Alejandro. Gabriel and Alejandro, they are on the top. And I'm very happy to be here today. And we are going to share a little bit about us during these last 6-7 months. And I want to start asking everyone to write on the chat box one word that helps you to describe this last 6 months since the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And I will say, for me, the word was uncertainty. It's always been very difficult for me to know, to expect, to plan. And I think that's for everybody. So I'm seeing some of the words, but before I start reading, I see overwhelming, grown, tiring, stressful, challenging, confusing. I'm going to ask Pam. Pam, what is your word?
My word is a person.
A person? Why is that, Pam?
Wow, seriously. I think even this morning, Danita was saying something, and she talked about, COVID moving her forward. And I'm thinking, oh my God, now COVID is pushing people. I think every voice recording, everything that I have been hearing, even businesses that had long hold on the phone and said it was due to high volume, it's now COVID's fault. So COVID is just like mysterious person just hanging out there.
So COVID is Mr. COVID for you.
Mr. COVID for me.
Mr. COVID.
Yes. I have respect for Mr. COVID, so he can just move on.
Thank you, Pam. And we promise to keep reading some of the words, but I see humbling, stressful, reconnection. I saw grateful, scaredness. And at the end, we'll read more of these words, but I think it's important to, words are very powerful, and it helps us to start wording those emotions. And I think exhausting, confusing, stressful, but also gratitude. And I saw reconnecting, flexibility. And so Ellen said, Mr. COVID can leave anytime now.
I agree.
I agree with that one. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. So It's just a quick set up for what is going to happen. I like to know what is going to happen, so I'll just pretend that I'm talking to myself. Doris and I just picked about 4 questions, and we're going to go back and forth about our own perspectives. This is not scripted or planned. We're just going to be spontaneous with our conversation as we usually are. So we'll go back and forth. We'll invite you to just jump in and join us in the conversations. Just share your thoughts and share your ideas as you see it reflects on you as well in the chat box. So we will keep an eye on those and have a engaging conversation as possible as we can. Granted, I'm not very good at reading chats and talking at the same time. So Doris, we'll just listen to you, and I'm going to ask, what have you learned about yourself and your family through this COVID pandemic period?
But I will say, from my family, I learned a great deal. I'm gonna dock so you can see my family in the back. I have 2 children. Gabby is 16. He has Larsen syndrome and tracheostomy, G2, wheelchair, the works, and also very bright and very smart. And I have also Alejandro, who is a freshman in college, tutoring math, brainy boy, very smart, very caring, and my husband. And some of you know I'm married to Superman, so he's fantastic. So what I learned about my family, they are resilient. I was expecting, when I started hearing about and planning, and we had to put a system up at home to protect our child and nurses and everyone from COVID. I had to plan on where is Alejandro going to go in college for the spring and for the fall and everything. So what I found is that they are more resilient than I ever imagined. They have an ability to adapt, flexibility, and we had a lot of joy and laughter, and I am enjoying the NBA finals and having a great time with my family, even in the most adverse circumstances, making great memories and enjoying the moments. So that has been something very important to me, and that I'm surprised. I thought my son probably was going to complain. He's a young man and now he's home full time, and it's hard, but he is a trooper there, and he knows what is important at this point, and he's making his own decision. I told him I will support you either way, no problem, no judgment, but he decided to stay and support our family. They also see the light at the end of the tunnel better than me. My husband is the same. What I learned about myself, I have to say, I learned that I need to learn several things. I learned that I have to learn to say no, for example, because I am always saying, yes, I'll do it. Don't worry, I can join that group, no problem. And what happens is my agenda gets so full that I cannot enjoy life, and I find myself doing a lot of shallow breathing, and it's very difficult. And I learned that's something I learned. I learned that I'm resilient. I knew that about myself, but I never imagined I was doing so much and saying so many yeses. So sorry if I say no in the next few months, but I'm working on it.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because I completely feel where you're coming from on that. And it's like, then it's like you're saying yes, 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 yes to everything and everyone, clients, organizations, emails, meetings, everything. And then you find yourself like losing patience and losing it at home because you're just overworked. And it's like, you want to say yes because you know that you can help this family, but then it gets harder because then you're doing the breathing and you're just like, I'm stressed out, my hair's falling out, everything. I completely understood you.
Thank you so much. I'm not alone. But
No, far from alone. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think that I have learned more about myself than I really wanted to learn in a very short time, to be honest with you. I've I have to be more life offers circumstance that kind of sometimes push you over the edge, and this time it was COVID. And I think sometimes we need to get pushed out of our comfort zone to actually and change and make things work for us in a fruitful way.
Mhm.
You know, when and Doris and some of you know that I had to pull my daughter out of school in January.
Mhm.
From January to COVID, it was insane. Like I was frustrated and angry and in a very different place than I'm comfortable with. And because I'm not in that, you know, mindset, I was just not happy because it's usually me. And then, you know, the COVID thing started and Jessie was home and her life changed even more then because there was no outing and there was no familiar people that she was working with and constantly asking for them and not having a good explanation that, of course, and she'll ask the question a million times a day and, you know, stuff. And that was difficult because my anger ended and hers was on a different pace. So working through those kinds of things was new and different, but I learned that I need to have patience and I need to understand things in a different way, in a different format, and changes are not bad. And, you know, you have to embrace it. And, you know, there's hundreds of considerations we take for many things that we do. And especially with the kids,
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes there's 100 considerations for one step. No. So just adjusting to those things were, I think I was prepared by the time COVID came because of the previous experience, you know, in the beginning of the year. But, you know, when it comes to family, I realized, one, that I had a lot of tools in my tool belt that I needed to sharpen because they were just kind of sitting there. I was listening to one of my favorite motivational speakers, Les Brown, and he said something one day as I'm trying to pull my tools out and think that, okay, what do I do now? He said, you know, everything that I am and everything that I will be is because of my mother. She didn't she had a third grade education. You know, she had a PhD in mothering. And as I heard that, I was also listening to something where everybody was looking into their investments about, oh my God, I'm losing all this money. All this crazy stuff is happening. And I thought, oh my God, I have invested a lot of love in these children. It's time to cash in and see where we are. So in that kind of mindset of looking at it with a light of, okay, we have something, we've got something, we've cultivated something, where are we going with that now? And it was just a new direction we had to take. And I hear my son saying that, you know, we're going to do this not just because it's right, but because we value being together, and we'll figure out a way. And that was good investment. It was good investment and good payback, and I'm cashing in on it. We still like each other. We are here 24/7, 99.99%. We're very, very happy. And he's actually making me lunch right now. So it's been a rewarding in many ways. Like sometimes I almost feel guilty saying that COVID, Mr. COVID presence has been a blessing in many ways in my life. So it's actually gotten me to finding my own strengths again that I would lose in the midst of busyness. So it's been good. It's been good.
I have to say, Lakeisha comments, cashing on love investment. I love that. And I have to say, I agree. And, last night, both of our children, my son is Alejandro and her son is Alec. And they are very similar in many things, many ways. And they both cooked last night. So
yes.
We are always looking at this eerie coincidence. But I think it's important that we recognize that they are amazing. And we put it there, and we are now saying, hey, come back and help me. So, thank you so much, Pam. So Pam, on that same line, what steps are you taking to keep some balance, to keep balance? I know it can be very hectic, and I know that word was there before. What are you doing to keep some balance in your life? Balance.
You know, I heard balance coming up in a lot of the little sessions that we had this morning. I think it is a great question because as you know, Doris, and many of you know me well, I always think of life is a constant work in progress. Keeping a balance is a constant work in progress. You either up or down or here or there, and keeping that, medium outlook and everything, it takes effort, I usually am a very intuitive, emotional person, so I function that way in most areas of my life and almost the time. So, like I mentioned in the previous question, that when my anger subsided was Jesse's frustration started, and what I realized in that moment that perspective is everything, and it could be interesting, especially in the time of a pandemic. So during Jesse's frustration, what I found about that helped me stay balanced, I realized that I needed to go through that phase that I went through in the beginning of the year, allow her to go through this phase on her own. So I was able to recognize that frustration is just a part of it. Sadness, worry, fear, all of those comes with changes. So me going through that, and had been so fresh in my mind, I was able to move forward with Jessie and her frustration. Recognized though that keeping a balance was harder at the times that I was really, really, really tired. So when I was really relaxed and rested, I was able to empathize with her much better and understand her frustration. But when I was not, it became, very difficult for me. So I had pity parties. I cried and I cried and I cried, and there were difficult moments. But what I realized through all of this, though, is that having friends to talk to was the best resource available at the time. And I think that, calling a friend is not a sign of weakness, but it's really we're seeking out to maintain our balance, finding our strength again, because our friends are able to remind us of that, or family, or whomever it is for you. But for me, that was how I managed to, work through the things, recognize of how it's reflective of me, where I fit into that, and reach out to friends and bonds. So that's kind of how I worked it through.
Yes, and you tap on something that we have been practicing together, is reaching out. I probably was the worst friend in the world. Like every new year, I was promising Pam, this year, I'm going to call you more often. And I was not calling because I have this thing about phones when I am not working. But I think I learned, Pam, don't you think? I'm connecting. I'm trying to be more, to reaching out. I think having that moment to once, at least several times a week, actually is more often than I had before, to connect, to reach out, to talk about what is happening in our lives, and to laugh together. I recently had my birthday, and Pam planned a full birthday party for me. I had a hat that I probably will show you at some point during this meeting when we relax even more. And it was a wonderful time. I didn't miss anything. I got a guy coming to my door with flowers, and it was my friend, my husband also. So there's many, it's actually active looking for joy. And it doesn't happen just because, for me, I had to make the effort to recognizing happiness and joy in everything that is happening around my life, and those things that have joy. And I also practice basic things like trying to go to sleep with some certain routines, being a little bit more healthy, listening to my audio silly books that they are absolutely wonderful because they are mindless. So that kind of thing helped me to stay. And it was an easier transition in many ways because I worked from home before. But still, this has been stressful for everyone, but accepting that it is stressful, that it's difficult, and being flexible. I think adapting to what it's today, and we enjoy today, and tomorrow we'll see. So that's how I'm been keeping some sanity and some balance in my life. Not completely balanced. I still go like leave sometimes, and then the other side, but trying to stay there. It's not perfection yet. So Pam, I want to remind people that if you have any thoughts about COVID, how these last few months have been, and you want to write a word or continue writing some of your comments, that's more than welcome, and we'll try to read it at the end. I think I have some comments that I want to add, Pam, before we continue. It's so hard to read from the chat, but right, and Danita said perspective is a choice sometimes. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes. Pam, you're muted. That is the phrase of these times. You're muted.
Yes. How are you keeping balance? Let us know. Share with us so we can feel like we're not talking not just Doris and me this time, since you're Zoom bombing us. But Doris, I know you have a 16-year-old with healthcare needs. How do you manage with concerns for the future and fears or anything like that? You want to share with us?
Yes, fears, they can be very paralyzing during this time. It can be very difficult. It was very difficult as I started getting the information of what was happening and identifying the risk for my family. I have nurses for my son here, and they are at an age that they are more vulnerable, so they are part of our family as well. And I feel responsible for everyone. I started having all this anxiety about what if he gets it? What if he has to go to the hospital? What if? And these what ifs were really stressful. So in order to help me to calm down, I just decided to pay attention to what really what I see within my control. So it's very difficult. I cannot control getting COVID in many circumstances, but there are some circumstances that I can control. We can wear a mask. We can be careful with who comes to the home and all those details. We are not going out. We are not going to a bar with Gabby. So just being careful to not get to follow those recommendations. And then there's an element of, after I put everything in place, I have to accept that I don't have control on everything, but if I get the right information, I can feel better. So I have to say the Department of Pediatrics, my doctor, my son goes to UF Physicians, and the university have been very good sharing information. So for me, reaching out and asking my doctor questions, and that way I feel much better, also better looking into the future for a possible vaccine. How is that going to be? So keeping myself informed is very helpful for me. Not for everyone, but it helps me to stay, that I can control something. And then I'm just trusting that what we are putting in place, it will work, and that we have the ability to work with whatever comes our way. So that helps me with that part. I know, Pam, for information is different for you.
Yes, it is. Yes. So I tend not to look very far in the future. I go kind of day to day and week, and I expect, life will have a nice, clean cycle. I do think about way in the future, like when I'm retired and me and Jesse driving in a fancy car around the neighborhood or stuff like that. So I don't worry as much as I probably should. Also, I have good resources. Doris is totally up to date on a lot of stuff. So if I need information of what to do in an emergency, she's really phenomenal at going to, attending the town hall meetings and staying up with the numbers and hospitalization and the beds. And she gives me nice, dense summaries of things that I need to know. But I know that those are not information that I need to store, so I'll get it from Doris. I just, delegate. I think my concerns, though, are mostly PTSD related, because Jess had salmonella poisoning when she was 14 months old. Because of that, she had to be quarantined in a hospital for 21 days in ICU and had severe antibiotics, which actually caused a hole in her ear. So I know consequences to being isolated and quarantined and frustration that comes with it. And then after that, she had to be quarantined for 6 months at home. and she was 40 months, and Alex was a year and a half older. So it was tough times. And I think when I think of what COVID could bring, it brings back a lot of memories and place that I don't want to go. So it's easier for me to stay in quarantine than taking the chances of getting sick or something like that. So it's a very interesting place. You know, I think Jessie is very fortunate to be staying very healthy through this period. I think it's brought a lot of things to surface for us that, you know, the vaccine and stuff, I have my own thoughts on that, which it comes up in my head and I shut that down like really, really quickly because PTSD thing. What are things that I would work through when the time is right? And I just, and you know, it is what it is. But Doris, I know we are pressed for time, and I want to make sure that we get to the last question before we check some of the chats. Again, if any of this is resonating with you and you want to share, you know, what your concerns are for your kids, please in the chat. So we're looking at them as they're coming up. So Doris, what have you been doing during the phase to support families and promote that family-centeredness leadership piece of things as
I have to say it's been an honor for me to be working during this time because I've been able to support other families, to talk with other families who are going through difficult times and be there for them. I have to say that our program, I work for Early Steps. We have been working remotely. We try to put things that were family-centered. One good thing about being remote is that there's more family center. We are in the natural environment. We are having an appointment with a family, looking at them where they are. So the family becomes that a center of everything that we do. And for that, I'm very proud. I think also we started some groups to bring families so they can connect twice a week. We have one on Wednesday, one on Thursday in collaboration with our friends from FND and Family Networks on Disability. We all, and Fabi, Pam's program. We started different opportunities for families in terms of webinars and trainings. And I think these are here to stay because many of the families that we are reaching are now, we were not able to reach them before. When my son was young and he was little and I had a ventilator and I had a feeding pump and I had all this nonsense, just to go to a parent support group, it was an entire ordeal. Now I have those friends in my home and I can actually have my child included in the process. I can bring him to the video, they can participate. And it's a different dynamic and Pam always says that it's really neat that we can see all our faces instead of looking to the side. So another benefit. So I think instead of thinking of these strategies as strategies that are of burden, they are new things that we can incorporate. I have kudos to our family resource specialists from Early Steps. We have been meeting every month throughout all this process, building work together, collaborating, supporting each other, learning from each other. So there's so many opportunities. That's how I see it in my work. I see more opportunities for family-centeredness than ever before, and to have that family voice at the forefront. So also reaching out through their platforms, social media, websites, whatever we have to bring families together, we need to use them now. So that's what I have been doing and seeing a lot of leadership emerging, right, Pam?
Oh my God, yes, yes. And lots of our family leaders are here today who have actually participated last year or just the first time this year. It's lovely to see that we're encouraging that and seeing the family leadership grow in lieu of our connection.
Some of them are here, I have to say.
Yes.
I want to say names, but they are here.
Yes, they're going to start taking their cameras off, right?
I'm present. I don't know how to get my camera on.
So we, you know, as Doris said, that, you know, the family supports that we have been doing have been incredibly successful. We've had Spanish groups, we've had English groups, we're having groups in the evening, we're having groups in during lunch hour, just allowing flexibility for the families. And we're connecting with people even from different countries and far from here, we're making friends. It's just very rewarding and satisfying. I feel like I'm having a party every day. Granted, one of the things that I did learn about myself through this is that I'm an introvert. Like, really, I am an introvert. I think I just like to see all of you here, and then I shut my camera off and I can, no, Danita is saying, no, you're not. So I love that we're able to facilitate these groups and provide supports for families. What we're doing, it's not just locally for our group, it's a national effort. We have family actions everywhere and participating on a very, you know, same level as we are statewide, but being able to incorporate what we're doing and including our family leaders in the process of facilitating group nationally. It's and that is a product of one of the products of FFLN is building family leadership, feeling what it feels like, supporting families at a local level, state level, and seeing them facilitating groups at a national level. It's really, really rewarding. And I'm looking at one specific person here right now. It is, it's a treat to me, and I know it is for Doris. What we do and the connections that we make go further than FFLN, and to be here every year with new people, their faces, it is just it's very satisfying. Actually, it is very satisfying. And actually, one of the things that I found going to the groups that the group activity we did earlier is that the ones that I was in several times, every time I answered my question, it was different. It was like a filtering process. It was to do that over and over until we get to the meat of it. I enjoyed it because I didn't know I had so many answers to one question. It's
This is how we know you are not an introvert. Introverts stick to the same answer all the time. You're bouncing all over the place coming up.
I'm a creative introvert.
So we have really great comments, and there was some questions about support groups, and I'm going to share that with you, Angela. There's the benefit of these groups is that it doesn't matter where you are, you can join many of these groups. So I have to say that it's been a pleasure. And I'm really bad with the chat. I don't know if anyone identify a question and you want to say it.
So Doris, I have a question for both of you, and it's not so much on the family side, but on the professional side, because at UF Health, obviously, where the group that I work with, we had to move very quickly to doing, telehealth visits. And I think one of the opportunities is that everybody has learned technology really quickly, both professionals and, their patients. One of the things I was saying to Danita this morning is that the country at the federal level needs to catch up and make sure that everybody has super fast internet. But I was just wondering, in terms of your connections and the support groups that you're part of, are people liking sort of being able to be part of telehealth visits, or are you hearing, no, we would prefer we want to be seen by a doctor, touched by a doctor in a clinic, or do you think that people are seeing that as a positive and want to continue maybe with a mix of both as we go forward?
I think it's strictly anecdotal because I don't have any data too soon, but I would say in conversations with parents of children who are more involved, we love remote because just to give an example, taking Gabby into a clinic implies that Gabby needs to wear a mask. He has a tracheostomy. He doesn't like to cover the tracheostomy. He holds on his wheelchair and immediately he touches his face. So the level of anxiety that I develop every time I have an appointment and I have to go in person is is brutal. And I heard this from parents. We, with Josefina Gonzalez, she's from part of FND, and also host the calls in Spanish for deafblind families. And they are very most involved families, and many of them are so happy to have the opportunity to be able to have these conversations. And also, there's a lot of collaboration with the doctor. I had a GI appointment with my son's doctor, and the opportunity to talk, the opportunity to bring Gabby and have a conversation, and he looking at our environment makes a huge difference. So I see a combination. Some families prefer the face-to-face, but many of the most involved cases, they really need this option right now.
Yeah.
And I hope it will stay, because I will appreciate many times when there was no need for me to go into a clinic with Gabby when he doesn't feel good, and I can have a face-to-face consultation with doctor. My pediatrician is wonderful doing that, but I would like, that to expand that opportunity for everyone.
Right. Yeah.
For us, I think it's a very individual thing. I think what parents want more, from what I have gathered, is they want to be heard. They want to feel like they can say what they're saying and somebody is listening, just if it's in person or if it's telehealth. Because I think you feel, and even as a parent, that you feel like you're being heard. It doesn't matter where you get the services. You know your child is being taken care of, somebody is hearing what you need, and they're providing the services to meet those needs. And I think, the opportunity to have telehealth is awesome. I mean, even I went to the doctor for the first time in 3 years because it was telehealth and I didn't have to park, because, you have to park. Okay. So it was really cool for me. I was very impressed. It's good even for me. But going back to the families, I think, it lessens the stress about going out and all of those. However, I did find out that the hospitals are extremely clean. There's lots of precautions being taken. I mean, there are standards now that probably should have been in place for many years and hopefully will stay consistent to what it is now. So there is a lot of benefits to, for the families who have to go, not benefits, but there's a lot of security to know that you have to go. There is this precautions. But I think all in all, it's the quality of care that you get that really matters when it comes down to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see a question here, and I don't know if you see it, Angela, but I see it. And so Debbie, she says, I'm a parent of 31-year-old twin boys with autism, and Mr. COVID is kicking my B. My boys, especially one of them, have behaviors that are so depressing. Is there a virtual support group that I may join sometime?
Oh, yes. I'm going to let Doris tell you about the support group, but I want to say one thing. Our support groups, and it's, I have to pull a plug, they are not support groups that you go away feeling that, oh God, I wish I never joined. You always feel good. Even as a facilitator, it's kind of like a little obsession that you go to a support group and you always feel better because of it. It's structured in a very positive, fun, kind way. So I encourage anybody to participate. And Doris, you can go ahead and share some more information.
Yes, we have our groups on Wednesdays at noon, and then alternating. I'll share the flyers with the updated Zoom links, and also on Thursdays we follow a really nice structure format for the calls. So, but it doesn't feel rigid. It allows for everyone to share, and we respect everyone's feelings. No one is supposed to, we are not judging. We have a rule that we always talk in first person. So it's based on my experience as a parent, and I'm here to share and to listen. And we celebrate. That's our goal. So just to give you an example, at the beginning of the call, we ask people how they feel, and from 1 to 10, and then we ask them when they leave. They always, most of the time, they will leave better than when the way they start. And we try to keep it in a nice, healthy, joyful way. I think it's important to recognize, and I've been in calls when I cried and I got wonderful feedback from parents because I'm there as a parent. But at the end of the call, I still leave feeling much better than the way I started. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. You're more than welcome. And we can also share other organizations that are doing the same.
And I noticed in the chat that Lakeisha has listed her organization, and I will be happy to make that email connection with Debbie, with the two of you, and with Lakeisha, if that's okay. I want to thank both of you for this lunchtime conversation. I want to go and live with you two guys because you always make me feel better. And thank you to those of you who listened in. And now I'm going to pass it over to Paula, who is going to get everybody up on their feet and ready for the afternoon. And I know I need to stand up for a few minutes. So thanks again, Pam and Doris, and really appreciate you doing this.
Of course, always, anytime.
Okay.